You won't last a week, honey. None of us ever do. That was the first thing Sylvia heard when she stepped into the marble-floored estate nestled in the quiet hills of Asheville, North Carolina. The voice came from an older maid grabbing her coat from the rack, wrinkles around her eyes, bitterness on her lips. Before Sylvia could even respond, the woman added, "She'll eat you alive. Just wait and see." Sylvia stood silent for a moment, her fingers tightening around the strap of her handbag. She'd heard the rumors before she applied, everyone in the agency had. Amanda Doyle, the dazzling but volatile second wife of billionaire hedge fund manager Cole Doyle, had burned through 6 housekeepers in just 5 months. Each had walked out, many in tears, some in ambulances. But for Sylvia, this wasn't just another job. It was her last shot at keeping her life from falling apart. She didn't have the luxury of walking away. Her daughter, Janelle, was 6 and needed braces. Her mother's diabetes medication cost more than rent. Her second job had just ended when the diner closed permanently, and if she didn't find stable income soon, their tiny apartment would disappear like so many other things had. So when the agency called, saying the Doyles were desperate enough to give anyone one more shot, Sylvia said yes without thinking twice. The mansion was intimidating, to say the least, more like a museum than a home. White walls so clean they almost glowed. Chandeliers that looked like they belonged in palaces. Hallways that echoed with every step. Sylvia moved through them slowly, her stomach in knots, until she finally reached the heart of the storm, Amanda. The new Mrs. Doyle stood barefoot in the kitchen, sipping from a wine glass though it was barely past noon. Her blonde hair was perfect, cascading over one shoulder. Her robe, satin and probably worth more than Sylvia's car, shimmered as she turned. "So," Amanda said, not bothering to hide the irritation in her voice, "you're number 7. Sylvia straightened her back. "Yes, ma'am." "Sylvia Harris." Amanda rolled her eyes. "Do you cook?" "I can." "Do you do laundry without shrinking cashmere?" "I'll be careful." "Do you talk back?" "No, ma'am." Amanda narrowed her eyes, as if daring Sylvia to lie. Then she turned and said flatly, "You'll clean the kitchen first." The last girl left it a mess. Sylvia nodded and moved toward the sink, only to find a pile of dishes so high it looked like a crime scene. Splatters of sauce on the marble counter, a broken wine glass in the corner, half-eaten food just left out. Sylvia didn't sigh. She didn't complain. She tied her apron, rolled up her sleeves, and got to work. That was how the first week went. Amanda didn't shout, not at first, but her cruelty came in subtle jabs. "You walk too loudly. You cleaned the floor, but missed that corner. Are you always this slow?" She rarely said thank you. Often, she didn't speak at all unless it was to criticize. She spent most of her days pacing around the mansion, barking into her phone at her publicist or stylist, her voice bouncing off the high ceilings. The other staff avoided Sylvia, assuming she was just another temporary ghost. A few even placed quiet bets on how long she'd last. But every morning, Sylvia showed up before sunrise. She brewed the coffee Amanda liked, not too strong, 2 sugars, no cream. She ironed Amanda's robes exactly the way she'd asked, folding the sleeves so there was no crease line. She even learned the odd little preferences, like how Amanda hated the sound of the vacuum on carpet and preferred it done while she was out. Amanda noticed. Not that she said anything kind, but the outbursts were fewer. She still criticized, but her tone grew less icy, more distracted than venomous. It wasn't until the second week that the first real challenge came. Sylvia had just finished scrubbing the master bathroom when Amanda stormed in, crying. Her makeup ran down her cheeks like wet paint. She dropped her phone onto the vanity with a clatter and collapsed onto the ottoman. Sylvia froze, unsure what to do. She was just the help. But something in Amanda's face wasn't anger, it was raw heartbreak. "I can't do this," Amanda muttered, not to Sylvia, but to herself. I'll never be enough for him. Sylvia slowly set the towel aside. Do you need water, ma'am? Amanda didn't answer right away. Then, to Sylvia's shock, she whispered, he's with her again. Sylvia blinked. With who? Amanda gave a small, bitter laugh. His ex-wife. Always her. Always comparing me. Always chasing what they had. Sylvia didn't say anything, not right away. Then, softly, she offered, sometimes it's not about being better. It's about being real. Amanda looked up, surprised, mascara smeared under her eyes. What would you know about it? Sylvia didn't flinch. Probably nothing. But I know how it feels when someone you love keeps looking backward. For the first time, Amanda didn't dismiss her. She stared at Sylvia like seeing her for the first time. Do you have someone like that? Amanda asked, quieter now. My daughter's father left when she was 3. Said he needed to find himself. I let him go. But every now and then, Sylvia looked away. Every now and then, I wonder if he'll ever come back. Even though I know he won't. Amanda was silent. Then she stood and walked out without another word. The next morning, Amanda didn't yell when Sylvia brought the wrong robe. On Friday, she asked Sylvia to stay for dinner, to eat, not serve. It was awkward at first. Amanda chewed slowly, sipping her wine, avoiding eye contact. Sylvia barely touched her food, unsure if it was a trap. But then Amanda started asking questions. Where was Sylvia from? How did she learn to cook like that? What was her daughter's name? For the first time, it felt like they were 2 women sharing a table, not a boss and her maid. But things didn't stay calm for long. That Sunday, Cole Doyle came home. He was taller than Sylvia expected. Polished. Cold. His presence filled a room like expensive cologne, charming to those who didn't know better. He barely acknowledged Sylvia, tossing his jacket at her like she was furniture. When he entered the living room, Amanda stood immediately, all softness vanished. Where were you? She asked, voice tight. Don't start, Cole said, loosening his tie. It was business. At midnight? In Charleston? You're paranoid. I'm not stupid, Cole. He turned, glass in hand, his voice suddenly sharp. Then stop acting like you are. Sylvia tried to disappear into the wall, but Amanda turned toward her and said, leave us. Sylvia left, but not before hearing the thud of something heavy being thrown, followed by silence. That night, Amanda didn't come down for dinner. When Sylvia quietly brought up a tray of tea and left it by the door, she heard soft sobbing inside. She wanted to walk away. She didn't. Instead, Sylvia sat just outside the door, not speaking, just sitting. A quiet presence in a house full of noise. That's when everything began to change. The next morning, Amanda opened the door slowly. Her eyes were red, her face pale, but there was something else, something softer. She looked down at Sylvia, who had fallen asleep sitting upright, her back against the hallway wall, tea tray still untouched. You didn't have to stay, Amanda murmured. Sylvia rubbed her eyes and stood up slowly. I know. Amanda didn't say thank you, but her silence spoke volumes. From that day on, things shifted. Amanda didn't yell as much. She started requesting Sylvia, and only Sylvia, for personal tasks. She asked her to help pick out outfits, style her hair before parties, even accompany her on errands. It became clear that Amanda wasn't just leaning on Sylvia for chores, she was leaning on her for strength. Sylvia never asked for the details of Amanda's marriage, but they came spilling out over time. Cole was charming in public, cruel in private. He had married Amanda less than a year after divorcing his first wife, Jenna, with whom he shared a son. Amanda had thought she could fill the role of socialite stepmother, trophy wife, and business partner, but soon realized Cole only wanted someone to parade around when it suited him, and ignore the rest of the time. "He keeps comparing me to her," Amanda said one night as she and Sylvia folded laundry together. Jenna was quieter. Jenna was classier. Jenna never challenged him. But Jenna also left him, and somehow that's still my fault. Sylvia didn't interrupt. She listened. And over the weeks, a strange friendship bloomed between two women from wildly different worlds. Amanda began noticing the little things Sylvia did. Like how she'd leave sticky notes for herself in the pantry to remember which items were gluten-free. Or how she'd fold the towels in a way that gave the linen closet a sense of symmetry. One day, Amanda asked about Janelle, and when Sylvia proudly showed her daughter's drawing of a rocket ship, Amanda took a picture of it and smiled. "She's got talent," Amanda said. "You must be doing something right." But just as things began to heal inside the house, something from the outside threatened to shatter everything. It started with a rumor. One of the junior staff had overheard a phone call between Cole and a developer. There was mention of liquidating assets, clearing house, and a mysterious woman's name, Jenna. Sylvia didn't like gossip, but she couldn't ignore the change in Amanda. Her moods grew unstable again. She stopped eating. She stayed locked in her bedroom, barely speaking. On a particularly tense afternoon, Amanda emerged from her room in silence and walked to the guest house out back. Hours passed. When she didn't return by nightfall, Sylvia went looking for her. She found Amanda sitting on the floor of the guest house, knees drawn to her chest, wine bottle beside her. Photos were scattered everywhere, of her and Cole, of her smiling at charity events, of her pretending to be happy. In her lap was a prenup. "He's going to leave me," Amanda whispered. "I know it. He's going back to her." Sylvia crouched beside her. "Then let him." Amanda blinked, stunned. "What?" "If he's that blind to your worth, then let him go," Sylvia said. "You've been fighting to be loved by someone who doesn't know how to love. You don't need to stay in a house that keeps breaking you." Amanda let out a small, bitter laugh. "Easy for you to say. You can walk away." "No," Sylvia said, her voice shaking. "I can't. But not for the reasons you think." She sat down beside Amanda and looked her in the eye. "When my daughter was born, I didn't know how I'd raise her alone. There were days I wanted to give up. But I didn't. Because I realized, she was watching me. Every move. Every choice. And if she saw me accept being mistreated, she'd think it was okay for her too. That's why I can't give up. That's why I stayed here when others ran. Not because I'm strong, but because she needs me to be." Amanda was quiet for a long time. Then she whispered, "I don't have a child. I don't have anyone watching me." "You do now," Sylvia said gently. "I am." That moment shattered something in Amanda, and built something new. A spark of resolve. 2 weeks later, Amanda called a lawyer. The divorce was messy. Cole fought back, furious that Amanda had hired her own legal team without his knowledge. But what he didn't know was that Amanda had quietly begun documenting everything. With Sylvia's help, she compiled receipts, voice messages, bank transfers. It was enough to expose how Cole had been funneling funds from shared accounts to private ventures, and using Amanda's name to cover for it. Amanda didn't just fight back. She burned his foundation to the ground. The day the papers were finalized, Amanda stood in the grand entryway of the mansion, dressed in jeans and a t-shirt, hair in a ponytail. She looked at Sylvia, who was wiping down the glass banister for what felt like the millionth time. "I'm selling the house," Amanda said. Sylvia looked up. "You are?" Amanda nodded. "Too many ghosts." Sylvia hesitated. "Will you be okay?" Amanda smiled. "I think I will. But only if you come with me." Sylvia blinked. "Ma'am. I'm not asking you to clean for me, Amanda said. I'm asking you to work with me. I want to start over. Open something of my own. A wellness center, maybe. For women like me, women who've been silenced, sidelined, or made to feel small. I don't want to do it alone. Sylvia stared at her, unsure whether to laugh or cry. Amanda extended a hand. Come on. You did the impossible, Sylvia. You stayed. You saw me. You helped me find my voice again. Let's use it. Sylvia took her hand. 6 months later, Amanda and Sylvia opened the Solace House, a retreat center in the mountains, where women came to breathe again. Amanda ran the programs. Sylvia managed the operations. And both of them, in their own ways, healed. No one else had lasted with the millionaire's wife. But Sylvia had done more than last. She'd made her matter.